Hello everybody, how are we doing this morning? It is 9:30, approximately 9:30 here in New York City, and I am just getting back from apparently a smoking convention. Jesus man, my throat. Definitely in worse shape than I've been in a while. I'm feeling a little under the weather and kind of dragged down by a little bit of fatigue from being on the road, driving around the East Coast. I made it all the way down to the tip of, what do you call it, the Chesapeake on the Virginia side. So a lot of driving this last week, couple of days. But hey, here with my acoustic guitar. This is a Martin OM28 with the built-in, goofy electronic thing. But it actually comes in really handy because, for example, this week I'll be doing stuff with the guys at school, and I'm going to need the ability to kind of get electric and, utilize the looper and stuff like that. So, it's nice to be able to sit there and try to teach with having a rhythm guitar player or a bass track or something like that. It's kind of... Anyway, really kind of nice to have the electronics built into a guitar like this, because I don't have to have a mic. I mean, I do have a microphone. The one I'm talking to, this little lavalier is actually, oddly enough, is connected up here to the brim of my hat. Which, by the way, hey everybody, good morning. Where's my coffee? There we go. Cheers, you guys. It's nice to see everybody. Hey, we got a latte here. I guess I've got a bonus coming on the bottom there. Anyway, everybody. Woo! Boy, oh boy. So, what am I talking about? It's not, I don't mean to be clickbaity. I generally speaking don't do the clickbaity thing, but the truth is, this instrument is much different than that instrument. That thing, this thing. All right, one is like an indoor cat and one's an outdoor cat. It's like there's a country mouse, city mouse kind of thing going on here. Yeah, they're kind of laid out in the same way, and they have the same tuning, and the physicality of it is entirely different though, okay? What you need to be able to do on this to make it work, you can't use all of it over there, but some of it, really important, okay? One, the amount of energy that you're generating with the connection of your fretting hand, being properly seated within the fret, and the amount of downward force that it requires to get good solid tone. And so left hand bracing, also working on typically bigger necks and smaller frets and thicker strings. It's just really, really great for the left hand. Okay, so the second you can start doing little hammer-ons and pull-offs, and a little getting that kind of shit together, you know that your left hand is actually in pretty mature state. It's nice. And then obviously the guitar, once you remove all the bells and whistles of having effects and things like that, and delay and overdrive and gain and stuff like that, you really are entering a whole nother world of responsibility for your right hand, okay? So just getting your rhythm chops together, let alone your picking. I mean, it's Whoa, pardon me. It's incredibly helpful. Okay, and it's this. I would say I owe Rip Westmoreland a debt of gratitude the size of Texas. All right, not that he taught me how to pick, but that he put me in a position where every week I had to show up at his house, having learned the songs that I sucked at, and having gotten better at the songs that I was moderately acceptable at. And every week I was coming home on Thursday night a little buzzed and a little happy and energized, and at the same time a little bummed that I was lacking in some of the skills that I learned eventually over time. So getting your acoustic out and just giving it a month and seeing what happens if you make that your daily driver rather than this little cream puff over here. Right? This guitar has itty bitty teensy weensy sotto voce strings, little baby strings. This ain't no. This is, you know, these are 12s I think these are 12s. I usually put 12s on an OM and 13s on a dread if it sounds good. If it doesn't sound good, I'll just go right back to 12s. There's no reason to have it choking the hell out of the top of the guitar. All right, so let's talk a little bit about these types of guitars. One of the things that's really important is the string spacing at the saddle. All right, these guitars were originally quite wide, and it affords people the ability to get their fingers in there for finger picking. All right, and obviously it's on a conical setup, so it's narrower here than it is back here, so every little bit helps. Also really helpful for cross picking, to be able to get the pick in there, because what we're largely working with here is kind of this pendulum, you know, when we're doing things that are like... Right, we really want to make sure that want to make sure you get enough room in there. So tighter bridge spacing kind of sucks in my opinion for acoustic music. And I do like a 1 3/4 inch nut. That's nice. It's nice. There's a lot of room back here to breathe. And at first it might feel a little spread out, but you know, it sure does make the 1 5/8 over there seem a little bit like a toy when you go back to it. Okay, so you've just got this bigger, burlier, more gnarly creature. It's kind of like, you know, it's definitely the burly beast of an instrument. Even this svelte kind of skinny bodied thing, right? This has been trimmed down. The OM is significantly more palatable in terms of its body size. I think it's only 15 across the waist rather than 16, and not quite as deep as a dread. So this is a very nice instrument and a great size for a medium. I mean, I'm tall, but I'm not like a big guy. I'm not like, ew, look at huge Daddy Jack here. I weigh like whatever, 180 pounds or something like that, 6'1", 6'2". So, all right, and in that opening bit, I was kind of doing just some sort of typical blues cliche ideas that utilize the open strings on the guitar. So largely, I think I was working at an E and was taking advantage of these descending, those kinds of things. So these are sixths, but I'm starting to utilize the open E strings and getting the whole instrument to move. The other thing that you want to make sure is that you don't have your guitar choked out by your hand on like your arm, right? Your forearm going across the top. I took a couple of lessons from a guy named Michael Daves. He's a real monster here in the Brooklyn area. He's kind of the paterfamilias of the entire bluegrass Brooklyn wave that took off, that I definitely got stuck in for a couple of years, 5 years or so. All the guys I played with were Mike's disciples and students, and to some extent are his really good friends now. We're talking like that was 15 years ago or something like that, maybe 20 years ago. So, you know, Mike has been a real treasure for our neighborhood here. He taught a lot of great people a lot of great things, and while I don't play bluegrass exclusively like he does or whatever, I'm not going to put him in a box. He's just an awesome guy with great teaching and playing and singing chops. So if you've never checked out Michael Daves, he's a real motherfucker. I mean, oh my God, it's really cool. He grew up, I believe he's from, I think he grew up around the Emory University. I think his parents may even be professors there or something like that. And he has a great blend of like natural, it's like in the water down there kind of thing, that twang, that southern thing. And also he's got a really great analytical mind, and he's like he's the real deal. He's no fucking around. I really appreciate and respect Michael Daves, as clearly do some serious heavyweights in the community. I think he works with Tony Trischka, who's a banjo monster, and you'll often see him sharing the stage with his pals. I think he and Chris Thiele from the Punch Brothers and other Goat Rodeo and stuff like that. Definitely have had amazing performances. I go and see him. I'm a little bit of a fanboy for sure. So if you haven't checked out Michael Daves, definitely do so. One of the takeaways is that keeping the hand loose and the muscles from engaging in tension is really the key to getting a lot of fluidity on the instrument. Okay, one of the things we'll often do is we'll kind of like anchor our wrist here on the guitar, whether it's the electric or the acoustic. Try not to do that so much. If you're putting your hand there for muting reasons, that's one thing, all right. But you really don't want to. You don't want to like smash it down and have all the motion occur in front of your wrist. You want the motion to be coming from back here. All right, and maybe even the whole arm, like just nice and loose. So like, effectively, if your hand is strumming, right, there's no way that your arm is going to be never going to be able to do that if you're doing all that from in front of your wrist. No, this is no way. It's all like, you can't do that. All right. So that's the first thing. Keep it loose. Keep it loose and fluid. All right. And the idea is that we're playing an instrument that has a lot of physicality about the string being twanged good, right? So don't be afraid to hit it. It needs to be hit. All right. Now, granted, as we move to the electric, the amount of energy that we put into the guitar with our picking hand, all right, is going to keep kind of shrinking. But what we want to do is kind of see an analog of like what we can get away with. So let's just take a look at, like, if I put on that loop, that Rosalie McFall loop, all right, you're going to hear the notes that kind of punch out, and they're gonna create a little fret chatter, a little buzz, a little sparkle. There's going to be a little snap to them, and they're going to stick out kind of the way, like, if we played a completely clean amp, it's not so exciting. But if we play an amp that has a little bit of breakup on it, when we lean in, there's like a little bit of change to the tone, right? We really want to look for a little bit of that when we play in. I don't love fret buzz, but a little bit of it actually goes a long way towards creating kind of a little artifact that travels along with the moments when you really lean into a song. So let's just hear that. So that's an E major chord. C sharp minor, back to E major, back to C sharp minor, back to E major, and then E major, B, and back, right? This is all clean. Let's try some accents. So there's no denying that having that little extra give into the string, that little extra push, is a super, super helpful move. All right, so let's see what's going on here. We've got some folks here saying, "Good morning, sir." Cody 1053. We've got 11 people watching. And Eric, hey, Eric, is that Eric the golf, Eric Steiny? Is that Steiny? I don't know. Where's that Eric out in... I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. That's got to be Eric from school. I think that's Eric from school with the K. Eric the Viking. Nice. It's so good to see you guys. How's it going, man? Yeah. So doing a little talk about how to man up a little bit on the instrument, right? So yeah, your hand strength, your picking, the clarity of what you need to be able to do, right? It all comes down to being able to handle something like this, in my opinion, and then kind of transferring your abilities. Now, yeah, there's some elements here that aren't present, right? Like feedback and string muting and things like that. Like with the acoustic guitar, we do a fair amount of string muting, right? Especially when we're strumming vigorously. But one of the things we're trying to do is actually engage the top and the other strings to make, like if I do something like this, and then mute, you can hear the guitar. It sounds so nice when you get the whole thing. All that stuff happening. Keep your belly off of the back of the guitar, all right? I want you to think about the box like it's a drum, all right? And what happens if we put a pillow or a blanket on the back of on the beater head, on either head of a kick drum, right? It removes all the low end. So look at the difference between, like, if I just put my hand on the meat of my arm on the top here and I strum. Versus this. Okay, and similarly, if we're pressing down the bridge, we can hear, even if I didn't, I kind of fucked up and went on in front of the saddle here, but you can hear just a little bit of contact. It really is, this is your amp, so how much of a blanket do you want to throw over the speaker, right? So. It's just so much fun to be completely connected to the instrument, right? It's kind of like driving a stick or something. It's really fucking macho. All right, so being able to get some shit together on an acoustic guitar is an absolute mandatory part of kind of proceeding into the fullness of this side of things, in my opinion, right? And I always encourage my students, get an acoustic guitar and keep it out. Play it more as often as you play. Don't play that unplugged. Play this and that. That needs the amp. This is self-sufficient, okay? So you can't, there's a lot of things you can't work on here, but man, the basics of timing and punch, everything kind of comes together here, right? Just even to be able to play like a good rhythm. And keeping the trebles open. Right, and being able to control everything with your right hand, okay? So there's a lot of this kind of stuff going on when you play acoustic guitar where you're kind of going. Because you don't to always be wide open going, right? You have to learn how to kind of keep things punchy, right? So sitting down and playing things that are like, really helpful to be able to. I'm just kind of making up a Ray Charles-y kind of thing. just, you're everything. You're the bass line, you're the little top stuff, you're the kind of swishing of the drums going and doing stuff. It's the full package, right? So you kind of start to understand how when we bifurcate or trifurcate the parts that I'm handling into a full-blown arrangement where you kind of say, hey, you're the bass. That's what that guy's supposed to be kind of doing. It's copying the energy that I was dealing with on the low strings. And then the up, like that kind of thing could be something that you assign to the keyboard player when you break it out. But you've got the whole orchestra is right here. It's so fucking cool, man. So just getting behind a little program where you maybe, like I said, the challenge to play for a month, whatever. It's no challenge. It's a joy, all right? Especially when the weather gets nice. It's so nice to be able to take a guitar outside someplace, sit outside on your front steps and just play. Or if you can find a reverberant space, that's kind of nice. I do appreciate the extra fairy dust that the Kemper lets me pour on here. I've got like a little haul, which, considering that I'm about to do, we're over at the school that I run, the school channel for all the Deadhead guys. We're doing Reckoning. All right, I think Reckoning is 50 years old or something like that, or 25 years old or something crazy. I forget what it is. And so I thought, in addition to kind of, teaching and shit like that, yeah, it's plugged in. Greenberry is asking, is this plugged in? Yes, it's a mix. There's some acoustic here, right? This is the acoustic. That's the same mic that my voice is on, which is connected to the brim of my hat here. And then I've got the Kemper, which I'll turn off my voice by. And that sounds pretty good, if you ask me. What did I do to create that? I turned off the amp. The Kemper has two components. It has an amp and a speaker. And the speaker cabinet simulation I turned it off. So I have more of like a preamp kind of setup. And this actually has microphones, kind of baked into it, like an impulse response, but from a microphone, which is really helpful. Unfortunately, the battery does die quickly, so I'm seeing a flashing L here. So you'll see like this thing's gonna flash there, and it's a little L. So I'm gonna have to go get a 9-volt battery pretty soon. But the truth is, I don't want to be on here for forever, but it is kind of cool. All right, so look. Let's just look at how to approach playing the acoustic guitar. You want to make sure that you're giving the string a good twang. If you're between the sound hole and the bridge, you're going to get a lot more tension than if you're right here. All right, and a lot of people feel like they want to strum here because it gets louder right here. But it also gets the string kind of moves more. So when you pick it, right, you're going to go boing. You got more time on the string to inflect something, yes, but you also get more like friction here. If you're here, or actually you get less friction, so you're in contact with it longer, and it takes longer to get off of it and onto the next string. And it's very easy to get a little. You wipe out more often when you play here loudly than back here. Plus, if you're playing quick, you're probably gonna appreciate having a little bit more of a tighter sound. Versus kind of like turning the treble up on your amp. Anyway, it's a really nice thing to have the focus shift to rhythm, but your single note lines are going to also benefit from playing the acoustic. All right, I promise you, because you'll spend more time looking at actual chord shapes. And like let's take a look at that song we were just playing there. Okay, yeah, that little. that part's kind of novel and beautiful and fun, and that's kind of like the of the acoustic guitar world, right? It's definitely one of those things that, you know, you're going to learn to play whether you like it or not. It's just a great technique and a fun sound, right? The Beaumont rag. But there is this little break in the middle of the Beaumont rag where, you know, by and large, we're sitting there playing, you know, G, C, back to G, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G. But this turnaround where it goes F, right, boom, right, boom, was that? So you get a lot of. So you go up to F, boom, 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 F, F sharp diminished, then C down to A7, right? That kind of. Then to D7, and then G7, and then back to C, and back to G, and up to C, and back to G, and up to C, 2, I want to the G, up to C, 7, F. Alright, that's F, F sharp diminished, C, A7, D7, G7, C. All right, so how do we think about that? How do we play into it? Well, there's a couple of different ways of handling that, right? A lot of times the simpler way is the better way, ba-ba-doo. So people would say, don't worry about the diminished chords, play F, C, G. Like that, right? So just think ba-ba-doo, ba-da-ba-doo, 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 ba-doom. That's it, sorry. Right? Ignore all the passing chords. And they wouldn't be wrong. That's a good way to do it. That's kind of a good first chapter of how to blow through that turnaround in Beaumont rag, right? But if you take the time, you can really figure out that you're going to be going, okay, that's our G chord, C chord. Let's just imagine we're coming up to the C7 sound, right? By putting the pinky down on the B flat and coming up into the F chord. Right? Right? Now, how do we get to the diminished sound? So if we do that, that's the diminished sound, right? So there's our... So we would have, now we have to get to C down to A7. Something like that. So this little, right, by hitting the flat third of the C chord, we get that great bluesy sound. All right, so now we would have... So there's our D chord. And back into, that's the G chord. And back into the C chord. Sorry, it's a big stretch actually. So you can kind of see how this kind of thing helps to really figure out how to do chord tone soloing. You get those little, it's kind of an arcane thing, that little. really ye old timey kind of music, right? So when you start looking at things like that and you kind of break it apart into its components and figure out, okay, there's this like larger arc to the thing, which is the F, C, G, C, right? Right? Those extra passing chords in there. But if you take it one step further, kind of break it apart and look at that, you know, there's nothing here to hide behind. You have to be able to hear the chord changes. Right? So you want to learn how to play the guitar? Play the fucking guitar, man. Get a real physical connection right going on here, because this is where it's at. This is where it starts from. This is kind of where it ends too, right? It's shocking how important this instrument is to getting that thing together. All right, I know it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but unless you're doing super high-end performance, you know, like fusion and stuff like that, right? This thing can do so much, whether it's blues or folk or finger picking or getting that, this kind of, every guitar player should be able to do this kind of thing, man. It's so nice. Right, that's something that Michael Daves taught me that, as a matter of fact, actually. He taught me, what is that? There it is. Sorry, Mike. What is it? It's been a while since I played that, right? So, you know, these kinds of, you know, taking the right hand and turning it into a little one instrument and having the other. It's really nice to be able to do this stuff, okay? So, all right, really, really fun. Let's see if anybody has any questions here. I haven't been looking at the teleprompter, so to speak. Lester Flat G runs, absolutely. Lester Flat is the shit, man. So if you know how to do these, right? You got to know how to do your Lester Flats in every key, all right? So closed position Lester Flats are a huge thing. Everybody calls them Lester Flat G runs, even when they're played in the key of A. Lester Flat G run in the key of A. That's kind of a big, bulky term to use. But yeah, so this thing is plugged in. It's nice in that it has the blend between the really shitty but clear sounding piezo electronics thing, and then it also has like an IR of an actual microphone in front of a standard guitar, I suppose, like an OM28. And it kind of blends in what it expects to see a microphone. So it's kind of fake in that this is standing in for, it's not like there's a real mic in there. So consequently, this guitar, you know, you can talk into it and it'll hear you, but there's no microphone in there. So they feedback. This actually handles being on stage pretty nicely. And you can turn down the blend of one versus the other. So the DI sound of the saddle, you know, if you want extra punch, if let's say you're playing on a crowded stage, it's really handy to be able to go neek and find a little notch in there. If you want the more diffuse sound that I've got here, right, this is pretty sweet in that you can make it sound like you're in a room. So looking forward to spending the next month or two kind of talking about acoustic guitar in conjunction with we've got a Bob Weir class starting over at school. We just wrapped up our second round of the Jerry Garcia course, which is kind of fun. And obviously, yeah, I mean, I love teaching. I love giving away guitar knowledge, and I also like, the fact that whatever. I like having a business. It's fun. I never thought I would actually enjoy my job so much. I grew up a very affluent kid in northern New Jersey and New York, and never really had to struggle very hard, and consequently had a lot of free time to learn how to play the guitar. It's kind of like a little druggy, preppy, juvenile delinquent weasel type kid, and frankly, when I look back on who I was, it's somewhat shame. There's a certain amount of sheepishness about it, but it's not an unheard tale. There's plenty of misbehaving, well-to-do youth. So that was me, and so sorry to fit so neatly into a little cliche, but that was it. The good news is I was kind of smart and able to kind of stay out of any real serious trouble with anybody that could really fuck me up legally. My parents, they were disappointed in choices that I made, but in the end, I made my peace with all of them and have two lovely children and a lovely wife and a beautiful, beautiful, joy-filled home. And I have very little regret about the things that I did while I was young, because I know now I would not be able to do them. I'll tell you. I mean, Jesus. First of all, I don't have the energy nor the courage to just drop 5.5 hits of acid and just go wander around the woods for 12 hours and just whatever, find myself in there or lose myself. Greenberry here says he was the opposite. You were a poor kid that ended up working hard and getting out of trouble. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more virtue in that than sitting back and being safe and blowing your brains out with dope, which is what I did for a while. So, I mean, I wasn't a great person. To be honest, I really wasn't a great person. I didn't have a tremendous. As much as I loved Grateful Dead music, I don't think I was truly a kind person. I was nice to my friends. I was fun. I was really fun. But I don't think I was really that good a person. I don't think I thought about others in any way. I was definitely a boy until I was nearly 30, maybe even past 30, So look, let's take a little look at that. How to get that right hand thing happening for that opening little chord sequence in Deep River Blues. I like doing it with my pick so that I don't have to have a whole nother setup. So if you're new to it, there's no reason to teach it to you with a way that's going to hold you back. So the first thing you want to learn how to do is just kind of do this little thing that I'm doing right now, where you kind of hitting a low E and then add in the third on the D string at the 6th fret with your middle finger. And you want this to be kind of clipped like that. Boom, chick, 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 boom, chick. So you're going God, it's kind of hard to break it apart sometimes. I think I'm just doing that. I think I might be just going, because this is hitting that, and if you're a little sloppy, but deliberately sloppy, you can kind of hit the G string, right? So just getting this kind of drum thing together where you boom, 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 chick, and then just try to do this. Just pluck on the first one. What is this chord shape? Here, I'll show you. All right. The low E is being muted a little bit by my thumb, and I'm basically playing the bottom half of a C7 chord, right? We would normally do that C7 shape, but we're going to move the fingers to be like that, where I'm grabbing the fifth on the high end, all right? And so we've got that. Okay, so that's there, but I'm not really trying to hit it. I'm not going 1, 2, I'm going. That's just my middle finger. Now, you can use your, if you want to, but I mean, it's hard. Like, okay, so the way that Doc Watson does things is with a thumb pick and a couple of banjo picks on these two fingers. And it sounds really cool. It's a little bit clackier. It's a little bit brighter. It's a little snappier. And it's nice, don't get me wrong. It's real consistent sounding. But, you know, when he wants to solo, well, when he wanted to solo, he could only do the fingerstyle stuff. He didn't have a flat pick, all right? Because you can't really flat pick very well with a thumb pick. It gets all, the upstrokes get really fucked up. It's cumbersome. So I just figured I would learn to do like the Travis picking thing that normally, you know, somebody would just say, use your index finger for the, and the thumb just doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is the way Merle Travis did it. And then Chet Atkins started doing it with a thumb pick and getting a little bit more clarity. And then guys like Eric Johnson started doing it where they're doing their hybrid picking got to be good enough that they could do that. So I just kind of went straight to that because I knew I didn't want to put down the pick. This isn't my primary way of playing the guitar, and it sure does sound nice. All right, you get a little extra tic-tac out of the bass, a little bit more definition, and then, you know, you tell the story. Right, like that out of the, okay, and we've got that. Now you can do that with pull-offs like that, which is kind of loses the power, or you can use the ring finger. Right, that's the part where I'll use one extra finger. Ba-dee-do-da-be-do-da. Playing this kind of music was so helpful for me learning how to do more Grateful Dead stuff, because all that Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir loved this stuff, this Americana stuff, from whether it was, you know, Reverend Gary Davis or Elizabeth Cotton, all the way to Doc Watson and Clarence White. You know, like, it blew them away, all right? Because these guys they were like the apex predators of the acoustic universe for a long time. These guys were the grizzly bears. Clarence White was a motherfucker on the guitar. Holy Jew. If you've never listened to Kentucky Colonels, just go and check it out. It's terrifying, all right? And the fact that he then went on to become, you know, the sweetheart of the rodeo kind of thing, and playing the Byrds and, you know, doing the Clarence White B-Bender stuff, it's killer, okay? There's a long, beautiful kind of Venn diagram area where, like, psychedelia and bluegrass kind of intersect. And if you want to, you can take it all the way into the dog music with Grisman and Garcia and come right back around. And man, it's just shocking how important this is, okay? Don't sidestep the acoustic chapter in your development, okay? It's something that I remember getting into kind of early. You know, my mom insisted that I get an acoustic guitar, and my teacher insisted that I get an electric guitar because he knew that I wasn't going to take acoustic guitar lessons for more than a year. But he knew that if I got an electric guitar, that I would be coming back to learn how to play all the Pete Townsend and Clapton and, Gilmore stuff. So, look, if you get that thing going on, right, that's the first one, two, three, four. I'm just using the pick doing that and then going. Beep, boop, boop, beep. And I just bring this down into this shape. Okay, so now I'm just hitting a G with the D string instead of a G sharp. And that gives it the diminished sound. If you look, you'll start to see how the diminished sound is very much connected to the A7 chord. All right? That E diminished thing, what's at the core of it? An A7 with a flat 2. So pretty soon you start to realize, oh, that's why the first time through that progression it goes E to that diminished chord, back to E to an A. And it sounds so normal, right? There it is. It's just, it does the second time with the A in the bass and no B flat involved. So you get that, let it rain, let it pour, let it rain a whole lot more, 'cause I got them deep real blues. Let the big waves roll along, let the big waves sing along, 'cause I got them deep river blues. Okay, great tune, okay? You do have to learn how to get that, boom, bam, ba-dee-doo. So I go boom, bam. That's middle on the G, and then ring finger grabbing the B real fast. And then I'll usually reach under and grab the B with the ring finger, the E with the ring finger. Or that, with the, I guess I'm doing it with the middle finger. See, I don't even realize what I'm doing half the time. The cool thing about this is that you can sit down and just play the one shape for a bar, like go. And just get that so it sounds nice, and then get this one. And that takes some pinky strength and kind of pulling down the pinky. Boom, bam, boom, ba-dum, bam, down. How hard is it to do that? No harder than, right? Well, my phone's gonna fall off there. It's the same technique, all right? So getting that shit together was so helpful for that. Think that was how Garcia got into it. It's close to it. It's the banjo, same kind of stuff. All right, so getting the right hand technique of that, getting your flat picking together, your strumming, everything together on the acoustic guitar, your self-contained little entity. It's a beautiful thing. All right, I gotta say, I have such a soft spot in my heart for this instrument, not just this particular instrument, which, by the way, I'm going to flex for a second. When you're pretty good at the guitar, people will cut you a break. And so I was out there and trying to make the name for myself as a player. And a guy from a music store got me what they call a pro deal, which is basically like basically at cost plus like a little bit to cover the hassle, but they want you to come to the factory. And I went out to Martin and I got them to line up 6 of these guitars and 6 OM18s. And, I picked the best OM18 and the best OM28. I don't own the 18 anymore. But, I really like that guitar. And this one here has been with me for a while. I really like it. The saddle is a little tall. To be honest, it's a little overset. But I figure what the hell. Over time, this will start to fold in. And just as it's time to get a neck set, I'll have extra saddle here and I can buff it down. And then I'll be in, but I won't have to touch the bridge height. The bridge height is really what's important. It's like, I don't want to lower that piece of wood. This piece of bone, not a big deal. Anyway, it's a really fun instrument, and if you guys ever see one in a shop, don't hesitate to pick it up, right? Because it can handle being like. Kind of hit, Really good guitar to practice, just playing everything you want on it. Says somebody ran into many arrogant players over the years. I mean, a certain amount of swagger, I guess, is to be expected from people who achieve, some degree of fluency on this. I mean, it did take a lot of time, and I do feel very proud of my accomplishments. And at the same time, I recognize that there's just a million guys out there that are 10 times better than I'll ever be. And it's as good as I think I am. And there's some things that I do that are like, yeah, man, that's fucking hot shit. And then you look over there and you're like, damn it, I ain't nothing. There's a lot of fucking really together players and musicians, people that just have it in their bones, people that just really, really get it. Whether it's because they started playing it, like if somebody starts playing mandolin as a kid, like Andy Wood, there's just no stopping these people. I mean, he also has, again, it's something in the water in the South. It's like you want to be good at guitar, don't come from New York City, and it's just not really. There was just too many other things to do. There's too many girls and too much weed in the woods and BMX bikes and shit like that to fuck around with. And I mean, I wasn't like homeschooled or anything like that. So I wasn't just sitting around with nothing to do but play guitar all day. When I did that, it was of my own volition. I remember going to college and being taught this jazz blues thing, and somebody was sitting there taught me this kind of thing. This kind of thing where somebody's, I still remember where I was when I learned it. This kind of G, C7, and then G. Learning the 2-5 into 4 thing, and I was like, I don't understand that. And he made it very clear to me that was called the jazz blues. And I was like, well, all right, whatever, I'll try to do it. And for the longest time, I couldn't do it, but you know, you can do that even on little tunes where you're playing like, what is that? You know, freight train goes so fast. Freight train goes so fast. Instead of holding that other chord so long, you could do freight train goes so fast up to that E7 with the F over it. Right, if you guys don't know some of the Elizabeth Cotton songs, like, you know, the easy ones for you to figure out if you're a Grateful Dead fan are obviously get your Lewis Collins off the Pizza tapes. That's a great source. You know, I won, shot one, and lose, shot two. Shot Paul Collins, shot him through and through. Angels laid him away. Angels laid, put him 6 feet underneath the clay. Angels laid him away. Oh, conference, oh, ain't it hard to see Port Louis in that old graveyard? Angels laid him away. Angels laid, you know, this kind of thing. Really fun. And that's the other one that been all around this world. And freight train goes so fast. Freight train goes so fast. Please don't tell them what. She loves that, using that E7 out of the C. You know, please don't tell them what train I'm on. That way they won't know where I've gone. Great stuff. I mean, just dynamite stuff, and a huge influence on Garcia. So, anyway, man, I gotta say, it's just the thing. It's just the thing the doctor ordered. I assure you. Okay, let alone, you know, just sitting down and figuring out how to play your arpeggios on here, going. Getting just like, you know, your technique down. Kind of nice. I have this a couple of things set up here in case I play Candyman or something like that. That for electric, like electrifying an acoustic guitar, kind of be fun for that. Or this is like, if I was doing summer sun went down on him. That little part in the middle of that. What is that? Anyway, it's really fun. It's really fun just knowing how to get around on one of these guitars. So. It's kind of like Fly Me to the Moon. Fly me to the moon. Or what is that other tune? It's Autumn Leaves. There's all this kind of 2-5-1 tunes. Anyway, it's always fun stuff to break out this kind of thing. And so, in anticipation for this week's deep dive into the Reckoning album, I decided I would bust this out. And sure enough, man, the fingers are starting to like feel a little, you were kind of being a pussy there and not really working on that acoustic stuff, Jack. You better get into it, because time to testify a little bit. So anyway, super fun. One of these days, man. In a cabin low and small lived the sweetest rose of color, my Rosalie McFall. Her hair was bright some color, and her voice was sweet to me. You know that I will always love her, and I hope that she loves me. Right? I asked her to be be my darling. And this is what you said. You know that I will only be happy when you and I wed. All right, so fun. All right. So listen, I'm gonna take off here and clean up this house because it's a mess. It's filled with luggage and all sorts of shit from when I came back from my trip. And while I think that everybody out there understands what I'm trying to say, it's not particularly lively in terms of the conversation here, but that's not anybody's fault but mine for going live from whatever it is, 9 o'clock or whatever. How long have I been on here for? An hour and 11 minutes. So, man, super, super fun. Super fun to see everybody and check in with the crew. And if you're interested in working with me and studying over at JackSnax, obviously you can find me in any of the descriptions of these things or anywhere. But just look up SnaxSkool, SnaxSkool, and you can subscribe if you're interested in learning more about guitar from yours truly. And granted, it is kind of lifted from most of the Grateful Dead stuff, but there's a lot of essential elements to the instrument that I try to cover. A lot of focus on fundamentals, whether it's work getting your vibrato or your pull-offs or your hammer-ons or your picking, understanding how to up your rhythm game and utilizing the songs that, obviously I'm a big fan of Grateful Dead music, but I love other types of stuff. So you start to see how, there's all this commonality, but there's like 400 songs worth of repertoire that we can bounce around on from week to week, keep things lively and moving along, happy and positive. Great community, tons of really cool people. I think we're up to 90 subscribers now. And you get a little personal time and enough time. And if you want to go further afield, there's the extra courses that are available for obviously extra dough, but whatever, it is what it is. And I know that that's not always in the cards for younger or, what would we call it, economically disadvantaged people. I understand. So that's why I kind of do these kinds of things. So I hope everybody appreciates that I need to make a living, and at the same time, I love giving. So I'm hoping you guys are happy, and I'll see you soon, and I'll try to be back shortly, and as we make our way through the Reckoning album this month, and possibly into next month. And I'm not sure what's next, but I know that Mickey Toop and I are doing our Bob Weir kind of master class. That's 4 2-hour sessions. I think we're going to be doing it every other week. Actually, it seems like that's going to make more sense in terms of the cadence of the program. And we'll be doing a bunch of tunes, like some heavy shit, actually. Like, I'm actually really excited to learn. I'm kind of like the MC of that, and I kind of let Mickey do his thing. And at the same time, if I have questions, I feel like they'd be pretty much universal, because if I'm befuddled, I can imagine that most of the guys that I'm trying to teach are in that same way. Anyway, it's great to have a guest lecturer come on board and share their expertise. And by the way, if you find yourself interested in doing that with me, and if, let's say, you're an expertised player in some element of Grateful Dead music that I could stand to round out the class with, I would be only too interested to hear from you. We've definitely got some great players, though. I'm meeting more and more of the students, through either them reaching out for feedback or in the middle of classes. There they are with their guitars, and I'm there 6 hours on Wednesday, teaching live. So if you guys are interested in that kind of thing, drop by. I think anybody who's here and has the inclination to really study. It's not bullshit. Like, it's not like there's some things out there. Like, there's a lot of work. It's a lot of content. So but you get what you pay for. You get a lot, and you're paying for it. So don't get me wrong. It's a business, and at the same time, it's the real deal. So I think you guys would be, if you're interested in it, you're gonna really like it. If you're and there's nothing wrong with kind of being a tourist and not getting totally enveloped in this. Like, this has a lot of the requirements time-wise. So if you want to really get serious about your playing, I can definitely help. Anyway, I hope you guys know that I'm not saying anything like that to be an asshole about anything, but it's still serious for me because this is all I do. And I really am looking forward to meeting each and every one of you if you're interested in working. Okay? So I'll see you soon, and I guess that's that. That's my bye-bye. Cheers. Boop, boop, boo. Boop, boo, doo, doo, doo. And I stop the streaming now. Bye-bye.